Colonel Hall, can you hear me? This is Brenda.
Yes, I can.
Okay, Colonel Hall, first of all, let my staff turn down the volume of Colonel Hall. Thank you. Colonel Hall, did we hear you say that Commander Gettleman will not be part of the call this morning?
No, actually, I'm trying to email her right now because when I spoke with her yesterday, she said she would definitely be by herself and standing by. So I'm not sure why it's going to voicemail. So I sent her an email right now to ask if she's by herself. So I'm standing by for that.
All right, Colonel Hall, we need to start the meeting. So unfortunately, we're going to leave the commander out of the loop here and go forward with the presentation. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. All right. Good morning. Welcome to the Hawaii County Council Committee on Public Safety and Mass Transit. This is our first session. Today is December 18th, 2012, and we're in the council chambers at the West Hawaii Civic Center. The time is 9:32. Please turn off your cell phones, pagers, and other mobile communication devices, or at least put them on the silent mode. I am now calling this meeting to order. We're going to be taking statements from the public. David, do you have anything up in Waimea? Wait a minute, somebody's talking into my... Okay. I'm going to ask myself, as well as the rest of the council members, to speak slowly, which I can't do, and to wait a couple of seconds before you start speaking in response. We've got Ka'u on the line and in Ocean View, and I have Deborah Lee down there and Nicole, my staff. And we're going to have an echo. We're still working the kinks out of the Ka'u system, so I'm asking everybody to be cognizant of that. So, David, do you have anyone in Waimea to testify on the agenda?
Good morning, Chair. We do not have any testifiers for your committee this morning.
Thank you. Ahoa, do we have any testifiers?
Good morning, Chair. No, ma'am, we do not have any testifiers for your committee this morning.
All right. And Hilo, do we have any testifiers?
Yes, Chair. For it, we have Dwight Vicente.
Okay. Would you ask the testifier to come forward, introduce himself, and he has 3 minutes.
My name is Dwight Vicente. I'm representing the Hawaiian Kingdom. The National Guard, Title 10, is actually in the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 16. Congress is to organize, arm, and discipline the state militia. I was reading their information. They cite 54 states and territories. Amazing. I don't know where the 54 states came from. The United States got only 13 states. And the territories they're talking about is under the Monroe Doctrine. Technically, it's called the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. The United States had illegally brought its military to this kingdom in 1887 with the Bennett Constitution, forced upon King Kalakaua, and the Reciprocity Treaty, which illegally stationed the U.S. Navy with an illegal standing army on board at Pearl Harbor, which is in violation of the U.S. Constitution. But then again, they're using the Monroe Doctrine, which is a Northwest Ordinance. And they're still here, illegally occupying this kingdom in the name of the fake state of Hawaii. And a lot of the members of the military who enlist here are not U.S. citizens. Danny Noy admitted on Leslie Wilcox's long story short that he was called an enemy alien as of December 7, 1941, which prevented him from being in the U.S. military. As no enemy alien can serve in the United States military, but he did. He didn't question that. He should have. So I myself served in the U.S. Army, not knowing that I wasn't a U.S. citizen until recently. So I think things need to be looked into. Why is the United States military illegal in this kingdom? and elsewhere. They're in Japan, Germany. They've gone global with the Monroe Doctrine. At this time, I'll end with the reservation of the rights of this kingdom. Under the Queen's protest of January 17 against U.S. Minister Stevens, it is set to make its way to the U.S. Supreme Court, Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2, original but limited jurisdiction over U.S. Minister Stevens only. And the other issue is the Monroe Doctrine, or the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. It is, the venue for that issue is Washington, D.C., U.S. District Court. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vicente. In Ka'u, Nicole or Deborah Lee, do we have any testifiers from Ka'u?
Good morning, Chair. There are no testifiers in Ka'u for your committee.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to go forward. We've completed all of these statements from the public. We have a civil engineer in Hilo. Does this person wish to testify?
No.
Okay, we have a. Thank you. All right, I'm going to have our deputy clerk read in the referral.
Communication 12, presentation by the Air National Guard, ANG, Innovative Readiness Training Program, IRT, from Councilmember Brenda Ford, dated December 4, 2012. The presentation will discuss upcoming plans to collaborate with the ANG on the island of Hawaii.
Thank you, Deputy Clerk. We'll be taking a voice vote on this, and I will be turning over the chairmanship after the introduction of council members because this is my presentation. So let me introduce the committee members that we have here. To my extreme left, Gregor Ilagan, Zendo Kern, Drew Kanuha, Karen Eon, Margaret Willie. To my right, Dennis Onishi, Jane Yoshimoto, and Valerie Poindexter. I'm Brenda Ford. I'm the chair of the Public Safety and Mass Transit Committee, and I hereby relinquish the chair to my vice chair, Margaret Willie.
Let the record show that I have assumed the chair. Ms. Ford, you may begin, and I want to add that I recognize that this is a comprehensive program, and I want to, if you need a little latitude and time, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. All right, today I have on the phone Lieutenant Colonel Dwight Hall from the Air National Guard Innovative Readiness Program. In the transmittal, I have put infrastructure. I move to approve, move to file communication number 12. Okay, thank you. Lieutenant Colonel Dwight Hall is on the Eastern Seaboard, and he is going to be making the presentation. Brittany Smart is going to be handling the PowerPoint presentation. We will do the voice vote at the very end of this. Last term, Colonel Hall was here and made a presentation to the last council, and Brittany and I were the only council members who took him up on the offer to get some help for the county through the Air National Guard. The Colonel will explain the program, so I won't talk too much about it now, but the reason I'm bringing this presentation back is to let the rest of the council, the new members, know that this option is available to you to get the infrastructure in your districts fixed at a much lower cost. Okay, so I'll explain more about the program from our perspective after the Colonel finishes. Now, Commander Gettleman, who's in San Diego or LA, California anyway, was going to be part of this phone call, and we had some problems setting it up. And so she will not be part of this presentation. She represents the Air National Guard, the medical side of the program. And we had them come out about 2 years ago, and they went around the island providing free medical, dental, and behavioral services to the people who came to the different facilities along the entire island's coastline. It was a fabulous program. People I knew actually showed up to get health care and dental care because they had no insurance. So it's a very, very impressive program. Colonel Hall represents the engineering side of this program. And so Colonel Hall, I have Brittany Smart, who's going to control the PowerPoint presentation. So if people will look at your communication 12.1, This is a copy of the presentation we are about to see, so that you will have a reference, you can make notes. And Colonel Hall, I'm going to ask you to begin, and just cue Brittany when you want the next slide to appear, and then it will come back to me. Go ahead, Mr. Colonel Hall.
Thank you, Brenda. I did get an email from Lisa, and her phone is working now. So I don't know whether we could call in or not, but if so, she's standing by. Again, my name is Lieutenant Colonel Dwight Harlan with the Air National Guard Innovative Readiness Training Program.
Okay.
And
Colonel Hall?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on. Colonel Hall?
Yes.
Excuse me. We're having a little bit of transmission problems. I need you to speak slowly and
Okay.
very clearly. Thank you.
You got it. I've been part of the Innovative Readiness Training Program for about 2.5 years. It's a fantastic program. It's not well known. It's based out of the Office of Secretary of Defense, and it's been around for about 19 years in various forms. The thought process behind it was that during the Clinton era, they said, why couldn't we use military individuals for training and support the community, the local community, in engineering and medical and logistical support. So as you know, most reservists, if you know anybody that drill a traditional Guard member, they do it 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year. Well, actually what we do is we actually use those individuals that we take their 2-week annual training and we find a mission for them, and we try to use multiple reserve components. So we bring in the Navy in, the Army Guard, and the Air Guard. We kind of put them together, and we either have an engineering project which can last up to 6 months at a time throughout the year. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Colonel, we really need you to slow down. We need really slow motion speech here because of the equipment we're using.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We usually offer 2 different types of support. One would be civil engineering, and the other is medical support. This past year, we had approximately 300 reserve component medical folks on the island of Kauai. We call it Tropic Care. Within 9 days, we saw about 10,000 individuals, to include optometry and dental and general practitioning support. So that was an extremely successful event. Also, we are looking at other projects on Oahu, North Shore. So it's nice that General Wong, the state 2-star adjutant general of the Guard, supports IRT. Again, this program is run out of the Pentagon, and Air National Guard is just one of the 6 reserve components under this program. I put together this slideshow for you all, and it's very simple. I took out all of the military speak and basically looked at it from a community point of view, just as if you were asking me questions about how IRT operates. The briefing's very self-explanatory. The main point of innovative readiness training is for all 6 reserve components to obtain training. The training is paramount. Supporting the communities are secondary in nature for us. We operate in all 54 states and territories. And again, I'm on page 2 here. We provide engineering, medical, and logistical support. There's no fee or cost to a community. However, for engineering support, we are set up where the military will provide the labor and the community will provide the materials. In most projects, it usually cuts the cost in half for basically any project with the military providing the labor. Who is eligible for help? We can provide assistance to any federal, state, or local government. Also, nonprofits. If you're a 501c3 corporation, we can assist that. And the third are any of the 13 approved nonprofit organizations, which are, again, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Police League. There are 13 of these. On slide 3, I listed some of our missions that we've done in the past. Probably one of our most successful missions was this past year in Alabama. We had a medical mission there with 300 reserve component doctors and nurses, optometrists, and dentists. We were able to see 30,000 patients in 9 days within 3 small towns. That provided free glasses for anyone that needed them, as well as free dental assistance, etc. So it's very successful on our dental, on our medical side. How can IRT work in your community? We have an excellent website that is run from the Pentagon, and on page 4, the IRT.defense.gov provides the actual application and how to apply for any assistance. What would your role be with IRT? Usually, how it works, the community has a need that they're identifying, and you can always, for myself, if you had some type of particular project, you can always just call my office. We could discuss it, and I could tell you what exactly the military could provide. There might be something that we can't, but there are a lot of engineering missions that we can do, even underwater cleanup. We've done that in the past as well. So just all kind of, there's just numerous avenues that we provide. I know Brittany Smart brought up clearing out a particular area of the Big Island that had unexploded ordnance from, I believe it was World War II. That type of mission we can do. There's just, it's almost unlimited. We can do drilling. We did look at drilling over on Ocean View. We brought in a few engineers. They did a study. However, I believe that project, it required approximately $2 million from the community before we
pretty blurry in
so
real
we
life.
actually do that as well. Once a request is put in, it usually takes about 18 months to get it rolling on a civil engineering end of that because of the environmental and archaeological paperwork that's needed. Is an IRT project guaranteed once you put the application in? No, it's not. OSD, the SecDef's office, has about a $20 million budget per year. That's divided up among 6 of the reserve components, so the Marine Reserve, Army Guard, etc. So the budget isn't very big, and there are numerous requests out there. However, they do try to look at what missions serve the community in the most, and what perhaps a community that's in need the most. And if it fits our training needs, that's the #1 issue for the SecDef's office. On the benefits of what it provides, it certainly is a win-win situation for the community and the military. It provides what we call mission essential task list training for us, which means that each member will actually gets to perform exactly what they're supposed to do in their what we call MOS or specialty field. We try to provide an environment that's austere, real-world training, like what one would encounter overseas. We try not to put our folks in hotels. We try to use armories and schools to stay in. Most communities are very willing and very helpful with that. And from a military point of view, it's certainly beneficial because we're actually supporting a community, and most of our folks would much rather do that than spend their 2 weeks annual training working on an active duty base somewhere. For the community, again, it leverages your tax dollars. It provides training for the local area. It also provides a benefit financially when we bring in 300 or 400 folks for X amount of time. It can be an economic boost, but most of all, it creates a partnership with the community that you just can't beat. So in a nutshell, that's basically what IRT does. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'd be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Hall. Just to reiterate, the Air National Guard's mission is to get their engineering division trained, and so projects they're looking at have to fit into a certain criteria that meets with their training. So I'm going to ask Ms. Smart now to take over and talk about some of the work that she's been doing, maybe a little bit of what I've been doing too. She and I have worked together on this. Just for a comment, the referral that was read in is correct. If you look on my transmittal, instead of innovative, though, I wrote the word infrastructure. It's a non-issue. It should be innovative. But I just want to bring that to anybody's attention. We don't need to do anything about it except identify that I made a mistake. Ms. Smart, will you go ahead now and talk a little bit about the work that you and I have been doing and the programs for District 6?
Thank you. For the record, my name is Brittany Smart, former representative for Council District 6. I need to get closer to the microphone. Me being loud is not normally an issue. Aloha, Colonel Hall. Long time no talk. Good to have you on the line again. I've been working with the Air National Guard on this the entire 2 years of my term, and I have to give huge amount of credit to the Ocean View Community Development Corporation, which is the group that actually put the initial application into the Air National Guard and really brought my attention to this program. Their focus was mainly to get a secondary water well for Ocean View. That is on the project list. That is one of the CIPs we did put forward. In addition, the Air National Guard specifically wants training grading roads or building roads, laying pipes, and drilling wells. So at the end of the term, I put forward a slew of CIPs to get the projects on the books. As was mentioned by Colonel Hall, we could see significant cost savings. The county's responsibility would be to, of course, maintain the system once it's actually completed, but we would have to take care of any permits, any studies, whether it's EIS or cultural, and any material costs. The Air National Guard covers equipment, labor, and equipment fuel costs. So that's it's a huge cost savings to us to get our infrastructure projects done. However, as Ms. Ford and Colonel Hall said, their main primary goal for the Air National Guard is training. So to step back a bit, we do have a pending application. I've also been talking to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. They are very interested as well in order to use this program to help provide access to sitting lands that DHHL owns that are currently landlocked. They could also use this program to grade roads and provide water to some of those remote DHHL projects. I've also been talking to the Department of Agriculture with Deputy Director Scott Enright. There's a Ka'u Water Co-op that is trying to rebuild the plantation water system to provide water to the farmers. So they are also aware of this program. Council members, the main important thing to remember is that if we do get approved, we have to keep them busy while we're here. So my focus has been stacking the project list. My theory is we cannot have too many projects on this list because the Air National Guard is not going to fly out a contingency of personnel to get trained if there's no projects on the ground to provide training. That means lining up funding sources. That means getting the projects on the books. That means making sure all the studies are done. This could be another way to get the roads in limbo graded. It could be another way to provide trail access to areas that are hard to traverse. I mean, the possibilities are really endless. But we just need to focus on the fact that they want to pave roads and grade roads. They want to lay pipes and they want to drill wells. From the engineering perspective, those are the primary focuses. I've been in talks with the Department of Water Supply. They are aware. They've helped us build the cost analysis that we needed for our CIP projects. And we are also aware that without this grant going through, the likelihood of those projects actually being completed is very slim to none. However, if we do get accepted. Another aspect of that, and Corporation Council is aware, Kathy Garson is who we've been working with, if the Air National Guard, as a government entity, is going to build a water system that is going to be turned over to the county, we have to be an addendum applicant to the application form. The Ocean View Community Development Corporation is a 501c3. They're the ones that submitted the initial application, but in order for some of these projects to actually get worked on, since we're going to be the receiving entity, we have to be an addendum applicant. That would go the same for the state. So that is something that would need follow-up on. We brought in Ms. Ford on the conversation because she was very interested in a second or third South Kona well, as well as bringing water to Miloli'i and other areas. Those are the main high points: infrastructure, and partnership, and we can just see some real projects that needed to be done years ago, a way to actually get them done in a relatively cost beneficial manner.
Thank you, Ms. Smart. Every council district has infrastructure projects on the books. I brought the ordinance for 2010 and 11, and there are lists of projects. And every year this list of projects changes. So I have been talking to Jay Yoshimoto behind the scenes, and so I need to advise the council that none of you can talk to each other or me or Jay about this without violating the Sunshine Law. I need to continue talking to Jay behind the scenes because he's going to be an integral part of moving this forward with the administration. This is going to have to be a council administration partnership with the Air National Guard in order to get anything done. Because the administration, we have work to do as a council, but But the administration has got to get the things done that have already been discussed by Ms. Smart. Permits, EIS studies, archaeological studies if required, and they're gonna have to provide the materials for any of these construction projects.
Ms. Ford, can I go ahead and see if there are questions coming in for you from the other
Sure.
members? And then come back to you?
Yes.
Can I just make a statement? I just want to say thank you for presenting this, and also to Brittany for presenting this, because this is something that I believe is, I forgot about this resource. Many, many, many years ago, I worked with the National Guard through the Office of Social Ministry when we did health fairs, and I absolutely forgot about this resource. So thank you for bringing this forward. I totally support what they do in the partnership, and it's a great thing, so thank you.
Further discussion? Drew?
I would also like to say mahalo, Ms. Ford, for bringing this forward and of informing us about the Air National Guard, and mahalo, Ms. Smart, also for explaining the role that you played in District 6 and with the Air National Guard, and also Colonel Hall for the presentation. I know it's a little bit hard to hear a few times, but you got it through, and I'm glad we had the presentation at hand. I had a question. Were there any other pending projects besides your own in any other districts?
If I may. Because I had spoken to Ms. Ford about it, because I knew she was working on the wells, we were bound by sunshine not to discuss with anyone else. I had brought this forward at the very beginning of my term, probably within the first couple of months of me being in office. Whether any other council members at the time contacted anyone, I don't know. And that is why I went directly to the state with DHHL and Department of Ag. So they may have projects in other districts just based on that, but that's not necessarily the same as council members spearheading any projects in their district.
Ms. Ford, did you have a further comment?
Yes, I do. One of the things.
Would you like to speak first, Council?
Thank you.
Ilika?
I don't want to sound repetitive, but I also want to thank you for bringing out this program. And former council member Smart, I also want to thank you for your comments. And I was in the Air National Guard, and it's great to see this. I also wanted to ask you a question, because there's a lot of private subdivisions in District 4, and when I was looking for the eligibility, so I'm guessing it is okay for me to tell the association that they can look into this and get their roads graded and training, or some. Go ahead.
Councilmember Iligan, they can apply for it. They are eligible if they are a 501c3. Some of the organizations are 501c4s, which would be problematic. One thing to note, since this is the expenditure of government funds, whether it's county, state, or the federal, since it is Air National Guard, it cannot be used to improve any private person's property. Now, if it is for the road corporations, which again, you gotta be careful, some of them are 501c4s. They are 501c3. Some of the road corporations, as nonprofits, if they own the roads, could use it to grade their roads, could use this to help them bring their roads up to graded standards. Again, I would just caution you, if they're privately owned, this program would not be an option.
So if the private association would give the roads to the county, and that would be okay?
If that is the end goal in fact, that might be a better question for Lieutenant Colonel Hall. What I believe your question is, if the community association brings them up to county road standards and then dedicate them over to the county. I'm not sure on that answer. Lieutenant Colonel Hall, would you be able to provide comment on that?
We have had instances in the past where communities have quitclaim deeded property, from what I understand, to the local town. That may be an option. For us, the bottom line is, again, either a 501c3 or a local or state government, but whoever owns the property are the individuals that put the application in. So encountered that in the past where we've had applications where the folks didn't own the property that they wanted repaired or taken care of. So that's the number one priority for us. Whoever owns the property puts the application in. That's the really the bottom line for us.
So essentially what Lieutenant Colonel Hall is saying is that, yes, the organization would be able to put the application in, then they bring them up to the county road standards, and then they would be able to deed them over to the county if the county accepts them. And that's a whole other issue you don't have to worry about. But it goes to the fact that the association would have to own the road.
Thank you, Ms. Mark.
Councilmember Yo.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing this presentation, Ms. Ford and Ms. Smart. I have a question for Mr. Hall. I think what I understood you to say is that the 501c3 would be the primary applicant, and then the governmental agency, either the county or the state or the federal government, would be an addendum or an additional applicant?
It would depend on what type of project. If it's a medical project, then it would simply be a 501c3. If a 501c3 can simply just request assistance without the government involvement, the local government involved at all. However, it was my understanding, Brittany, when you said about if they weren't a 501c3, you mentioned bringing the roads up to code or whatever. It would have to, if it's a 501c3 and they own the roads, we could fix it. You know, that's not an issue. If it's a 501c4, they would have to either deed the property over to the local government, and the local government would put the application in, if that makes sense.
Thank you. That helps.
Is there any other council member that would like to speak before I return to Ms. Ford?
Can I expand on Ms. Young's question?
Yes.
Quick? When I was mentioning an addendum applicant, I'm going to go back to Ocean View as an example. The nonprofit organization, the Ocean View Community Development Corporation, put forward the application specifically for the Ocean View well. Because the county, even if it's the association property or they're actually looking at county or association property for this well, since the county would be taking the control of the system when it was completed, the county would have to be an addendum to that project. So, and same with the state. All the ag lands and all the ag projects that are happening in Ka'u are a lot of state lands, or even DHHL, or technically falls under the state. So that's how it would have to be an addendum act. Just to clarify that.
So those are partnerships.
Those are partnerships.
Do I have permission of the council to ask a question from the chair? Okay, hearing no negative response. My question has to do with coordination and how we go about doing this. I think that you've got 9 people here that already have many ideas in their head, and there are sunshine issues, and I just would like to hear probably from all 3 of you, Colonel Hall and Ms. Ford and Brittany. I mean, should we be setting up an ad hoc committee or a task force, or how do we best coordinate this effort? Thank you. Ms. Ford?
Thank you. Well, that led right into what I wanted to talk about. Colonel Hall is not involved in Sunshine Law, so I'm going to preempt him right now. Because we do have the Sunshine Law here, we've got to be very careful, which is why I cautioned all of you not to talk to each other or to me or to Jay. However, this is going to be quite a massive coordination, and we need help. We need somebody who can legally talk to each council member and not divulge to the other council members what's really going on. And what I have recommended to the chair, and I can discuss this now because we're in open session, what I've recommended to the chair is that we hire an LRB special projects person, somebody who's already trained, somebody who already knows how to write legislation, somebody who can interface with the military at the ranks of colonel and higher, because that's what we're already doing. And I have made a suggestion to the chair for that person. This person, because they're LRB, can help, especially the new people. They can help you write the legislation to put something on a capital improvement project wish list. They can help you write put the packages together that we're going to send to the Air National Guard. They would interface with the administration to get things like archaeological studies done. Now, we, the council, don't do those kinds of studies. That's done by the administration. But somebody has to interface with the administration to get these things. So the administration isn't going to be able to do every one of our projects. You know, they're not going to be able to do 5 projects in every district because we don't have that kind of money just laying around. But it may be possible that we could do 1 or 2 in each district if we do this in a coordinated manner with the administration. But we need somebody to do that. And an LRB person is allowed to talk to each one of us. What they won't do is go talk to me and then go over to Gregor and say, hey, Brenda's doing X. You know, that won't happen. So we will be obeying the sunshine laws. But the project is so massive, and we've got to get these things on the books. We've got to have 5 years worth of projects ready to go. That doesn't mean all 5 years are ready today, but the packages will have to be ready, and the administration has to be committed to doing all of the work, including the blueprints, because everything will be built to spec. We provide the blueprints to the Air National Guard. They build it to those specifications. So all the engineering has to be done by us. In the case of my water wells, we've already sent them blueprints of a typical water well, and they will build that to spec. But the administration, in this case it would be Department of Water Supply, will actually have to do the blueprints for that specific location because the grade changes and everything like that changes. So all of that work has to be coordinated, and we need somebody to do that. We individually are not capable of doing that. The other thing that the person that we would hire has to do is go through all of these CIP projects, and for the new people, I mean, I can look at this and I know what's there, but we got 6 new people who don't know this stuff yet, and pick out those projects that look like they're going to fit, and then go to that council person and say, okay, District 3, you've got 5 things on here. Let's talk about which ones might fit. Work with the Air National Guard at that point to see if we can do any of those projects for that district, and then get the packages put together and submit them to the Air National Guard. So that's basically what we need to do so that all of us get something. This is, hold on, excuse me. We all need to get the fair share and a fair deal out of this, and not one district get everything and the rest of us are sitting here with our roads in disarray. Thank you.
Okay, follow up, just the link to this council. I'm just wondering if it still wouldn't be a good idea to have some kind of task force or ad hoc, or sort of how do we connect it? Would it be just you would be the one person that is being connected to, or would it be better to have like several, sort of as we do the social services grants, where we're looking at it comprehensively? So I'm just sort of wondering, in terms of the different links, even if there were a LRB person, how are we, it sounds like we're just doing everyone singularly, and is that the best structure for this?
May I respond to that? I have volunteered to the chair to be the lead council person on this project, because I am going to be needing to talk to the chair. It'll be basically the 2 of us, but I will take the lead. However, this LRB person is going to be doing most of the, shall we call it, grunt work. That's what's going to happen. I cannot, first of all, for sunshine reasons, I can't do it for the other districts. And secondly, this is going to be almost a full-time job for this person to get these packages together. That's why I'm suggesting that I take the lead, that we get an LRB person who will report to the chair, not to me, to the chairman, and we'll work on it that way. Colonel Hall is planning, things can change, but is planning to bring a team out here in January and needs to look at some of these projects. For instance, he mentioned earlier in the presentation, there's some 501c3s that they work with repetitively around the country, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. I've already made contacts with several 501c3 organizations to do some work, civic type work for them. And that is not a sunshine law issue because the county has nothing to do with those organizations other than maybe give them grant money or something. So that's how we're going to do it. If we put together an ad hoc committee just for the new people, it takes 3 council readings, and then you've got to get together and you've got to do all this stuff. It's not fast enough. Most of these applications, or a lot of the applications for the first year, fiscal year 2014-15, have got to be done by the end of this coming February. We don't have time to set up an ad hoc committee and then wrestle around with this. We need to get it done. I'm in favor of getting it done. That's my motto, just get it done. So that's my suggestion. I take the lead. We get an LRB special projects person, and Jay and I will take the bulk of this off of the most council members. You, by this LRB person, you individually will get trained on how to write amendments to the budgets, and you will get your projects moving forward. You're the ones that are going to have to pick the projects out that you want done.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like to call on Councilmember Onishi.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. You know, I wasn't going to say anything until it was mentioned about hiring someone for LRB. To me, that's our job as council members. We supposed to be going out and we supposed to be seeing what kind of CIP projects we need in the district, and then we need to work with the proper people like the administration, or even like with this with the Air National Guard, to get the resources to help your project get along. I don't think we need an ad hoc committee because, like I said, it's our responsibility to do that, and then also to hire someone. I don't think, I mean, with the crisis that we have now, and then also with the passing of Senator Inouye, federal funds going to be hard coming to the state of Hawaii. Okay, and someone had just told me just recently that when Senator Stevens from Alaska passed away, Alaska lost about almost like 70% of their federal funds going into Alaska. So you can see how a seniority senator can get money coming into your state. So, but for this, to me, you just utilize, like what I'm doing in my district is that we're trying to get a playground set done. I'm working with the state, I'm working with the county, and then we're also gonna be working with a nonprofit group. And so that's the kind of relationships you need to do. So you don't have to go and hire someone to do it. You just have to do the work, and that's what we're getting paid for. Thank you.
Call on Councilmember Wayne Dexter.
And I agree with Fresh Onishi on that, because this is a partnership that we can also start to build stronger communities and relationships. We should not be hiring a person for this, but if it would come to hiring someone and the council would go in that direction, I would hope that it would be an open and fair application process for people to apply, and that the council decides who fills that position. However, again, I believe that we need to start building community relationships and partnerships and building strength there, and the way we do it is by allowing that process to happen, not with somebody else coming in to do that for the community, and with us as council working with our communities to help strengthen that relationship. Because we want to be able to have them build their own leadership in doing these things. They don't always have to depend on council, but you find your key leaders and build leadership in the community. And I totally believe in that. So thank you.
Councilmember Eo.
Thank you. I think it would be important to have someone within our LRB branch that could specialize in assisting us to access these grants and learn how to write them once we bring a project and the community together. But maybe there's already personnel in our LRB who we could designate somebody there to specialize and focus on this, so we would know who to turn to that could be efficient.
just as a suggestion.
Councilmember Kern?
Thank you, Chair. I agree with Councilwoman Poindexter and Councilman Fresh. I think that we do have people in LRB right now that could help us out with that. I do think that we can figure it out on a case-by-case basis. It is up to us as an individual council member to work with the administration, to work with the state, federal, any agency that we're supposed to do that. Now, if we got some projects off the ground and we saw that there was some real traction there and we had it going, then I could maybe see bringing somebody in because there was actually a real good track record here in Hawaii County. Correct me if I'm wrong and ask the question, how many projects here in Hawaii County has this program worked with so far?
Can I answer?
Yes, please.
Okay, they've done the medical missions for a number of years. I think Colonel Hall can answer it, but I think they've done at least 2 or 3, and we have that pending application with them. And I also kind of want to caution the council members because I don't think you're fully comprehending the full extent that this project is going to need in terms of effort. You're going to need grant resources, and to imply that the community relationships aren't there, that's really not the case in Ka'u, because it's because of those relationships that got to this point. It was one nonprofit telling another nonprofit about this program, and those 2 nonprofits working on writing the grant and then coming to us asking for help to build the project list. You're going to need the coordination of the studies. You're going to need the coordination of getting the grant funding. You're going to need the coordination of getting the material costs. Even some of the local, the quarry there has offered to provide some of the gravel that may be needed for some of the grading projects. So you do need one focused person to go back and forth, especially if we're putting this forward as one package. So they're not going to come out here for 5 years for one project in Kona, one project in Ka'u, and one project in Hamakua. They're going to be coming out here for one big project and then filling in what they can throughout the sides, and that's where the other districts are here. The main project is that Ocean View well that got them here. That's their primary goal, is to do the drilling well. So I caution council members, you know, I'll be available for questions anytime if you want until you guys figure out what you need. Colonel Hall is very approachable. He's very friendly and very helpful. I would encourage you to contact him so you can have a full comprehension of what this program is actually going to take. I worked on it for 2 years, and I can tell you it's a lot more than what you.
Thank you, Ms. Smart.
To Ms. Ford, I just wanted to ask if there's any other council member that would like to.
I'm not done.
Comment. Okay, go ahead.
Thanks.
Sorry.
I think we should, each one of us should look at a project that we have in our area, get to know it, get into it. If we hire somebody else, how are we going to really learn it? I think it's important that we do be able to learn the process. And if we're already in a fiscal crisis, if you will, we're very low budget, funds are very tough to come by. To hire somebody in that, to do that position right now when there is no track record, there's no guarantee that they're accepting the applications or anything else, I don't know if it makes the most sense. Now, if it worked, it might be a great thing, victory. But if it doesn't work, we're kind of spinning our wheels. So I'd rather learn it as individuals, move forward, get a little traction, and then if it makes sense, we'll hire somebody to do that. That's my personal opinion. Thank you.
Councilmember Poindexter.
I just want to say that, you know, we have great leaders in communities, and we just need to make sure that we recognize that. So I don't want to underestimate, you know, the leaders in our rural communities, because we've done it before. You know, we've done it at the closure of Hamakua Sugar, the closure of Hilo Coast Processing. The community stood up. We took action. And this is, I believe, is happening again. And we need to trust in our communities, and we need to build the leadership there. And I think a lot of us here as county council people bring a lot of skills to the table. I, for one, I was a grant writer for many years. So I think we have a lot of skills here, and I think we can do it without, you know, adding a position. So thank you.
Okay. Ms. Ford?
Thank you. I think you're getting hung up on adding a position. I partially agree with all of you. And what I partially agree with is you've got a lot of work to do as council members. This is not going to be somebody that we hire comes in and makes all the decisions. You have got to do your research. You have got to dig through all of these things for the last, 5-10 years and figure out which projects are realistic and which ones you're going to support. And that's going to take a lot of work. You may have projects that are not even on the books that you want to get on the wish list, the CIP budget amendment list that we're going to have to work on between now and March and May to do this. You have a lot of work to do. You've got to go out to the community and talk to these people. You have to do all of the groundwork, but the coordination portion and putting the packages together, you have no idea how difficult that is. And to have one person with the expertise who can help all of us do that thing, put that package together, is going to be a monumental job taken off your shoulders. That doesn't mean you get to sit back and not do anything. You still are going to have a lot of work to do. Believe me, working on the wells that I'm working on is taking a lot of time. And I've got several more projects that I'm pushing forward. So, you know, I recognize, I guess as a senior member, I hate to pull rank, but as a senior member, I can tell you, you're going to need help on this. You're going to need help. This is not just a matter of writing a small piece of legislation. The legislation portion is tiny. It's the rest of the package that's the nightmare that we're going to have to get through, and the coordination. Now, imagine, let me give you a really bad example. Imagine that one person their projects are all going to get done and the rest of us aren't going to get our stuff done. You know, and we put the Air National Guard in a position of, are they going to do Brenda's projects because they think she's cute, or are they going to do everybody's project because it's a reasonable thing to do? Now, the colonel is not going to take sides like that, but we all know what politics are in this island. So we need to be able to work as a coordinated group. We're going to need to have more meetings like this on this same subject periodically so that we can all talk about what we need to do and what we need to have done. I'm not suggesting hiring someone until we all sit back. That is not the point. And frankly, none of the LRB people that have their jobs as currently defined are going to be able to do this process to the extent with which it needs to be done. That means that every one of us has multiple projects on the list and have packages that we submit. There's not one person that can do it. It's not because they're not smart or talented. It's because this is going to take a level of expertise that is going to be repetitive, doing the same thing, but putting all this together and coordinating it. You're asking for trouble if you try to do all of it yourself. You're welcome to do it, but I would never recommend it.
Okay.
That's 6 years. Thanks.
I'd like to ask another question unless there's someone else who'd like to speak.
Okay. Well, you can go first.
Okay.
Sure.
I think one thing, Brenda, is that whether we were to hire someone from the get-go, I think that there was at least an expression that maybe we get our feet wet and sort of get a little handle on this, but that didn't mean that if we saw the need to hire somebody that anyone's close to that. So I just want to say I don't feel that we're quite that far apart, and I also think that if we are maybe following up on these additional meetings, you know, I don't want to be violating the sunshine law, but you know, I don't have a problem with putting something together. So I think the second thing is what also I want to follow up on what Councilmember Poindexter said is sort of the process. I think you said you've got somebody in mind or maybe several people in mind, and we don't necessarily know who that person is, and sort of a feeling of that if this person is so important that we'd like to all have confidence in them. So I guess I'm sort of feeling a slow down the process a little bit and think it through, but not being in opposition to your goal and to recognizing how big the project is. But we're just starting in here, and to sort of turn over something major connecting to our community, so it's a little bit hard to do immediately. So, Councilmember Onishi, did you have something you wanted to follow up?
I just wanted to just follow up what I was just saying is that, you know, each council member, when you do have a project in the CIP list that, you know, Ms. Ford mentioned about, you know, you'll see what projects might be important to you in your district or your community. And that's where you would go and talk to the administration, or talking to that certain department like Parks and Rec, if it's because of a ball field or you need lights or so forth, or you need roads paved or you need something like drainage. You go and see them, and then the bottom line later on comes down to funding. Okay, if the funding is there, then you can get your project going. Okay, now if the funding is limited, but now maybe you can use the IRT to help with the manpower to get the project done. But the bottom line is you need to have the funding in order to get one project done. Okay, and then maybe grant money with like a nonprofit can help, but then also with the administration helping to, or a certain department helping the nonprofit, I think the process can go faster. And I think, like in your project, weren't you working with the water department, Department of Water? Right? And they were kind of like not taking the lead, but they're assisting with this project, correct?
Yes.
Right. And so that's why, so that's what you folks are going to need, is that some department to help the nonprofit, or just to help your project to get along. And so that's why the bottom line is, to me, you need the funding. So basically, like I said, it's the council member's responsibility to look at the CIP list, look what projects you want or what the community wants, and then you go meet with the administration. Thank you.
Ms. Willie,
Yes,
can I kind of,
yeah.
I want to clarify to make sure, I'm not sure if council members are fully understanding how this program works. It's not like you fill out an application and the Air National Guard says, oh, okay, that sounds great, we're going to send someone out for 3 weeks. That's not how it's going to go. You're going to have the main big project. That's the pending application right now for the Ocean View well. Once they accept the application, they're committing to being here 5 years. And so it's not like we're going to send someone out here and we're going to send someone out there. It's going to be one big project with little projects filling in the space of the big project, because they don't want people sitting still. So they may be out here drilling the well for 2 weeks, and then they'll have a couple days where they're waiting for a part of whatever it may be. And so they may go grade a road or lay a pipe somewhere. So it's a package deal. We're not talking about piecemealing it out here. And I just want to make sure that's very clear, because it's not like you're going to be putting a project together and sending it independently to the Air National Guard. It is one project with the application already pending and other projects to take up the time space. You heard the Colonel Hall talk about bivouacking, the staying in the schools and whatnot. That's all part of it. They are going to be here for a 5-year span, and that's it.
Okay. Councilmember Eo.
Thank you. Yes, I do understand that the need to coordinate, so I think it would be really helpful to have a point person within our staff. And I think at one time in the past, I remember different LRB people were assigned to help be specialized in certain types of work. So I think this would be really important to have a point person. Like Zendo said, I'm not sure whether we bring a new person in right now, as Brenda was suggesting, or we try and utilize someone within our staff and see how it goes. I think that's the discussion right now, but I understand the need to coordinate, and the reason you're suggesting that somebody be that person, that point person.
So Member Kerr.
Thank you, Chair. The person that would be hired would have to be an extremely diplomatic, perfect individual, because we as individual council members, we have to work with our constituency, and then we also have to work with the administration. And this person will be being lobbied by us as individuals, as council members, pushed by our constituency, and then their relationship with the administration will ultimately affect how the funding comes through to us. So if that does come up, it has to be a rock star, if you will, and perfect. Otherwise, I would rather that we take that on. We could have somebody in LRB with some expertise as far as maybe packaging, helping us with that part of it, but not to be the liaison lobbyist between council member, administration, state or federal agencies. That's what our job is supposed to do as a council member. But again, I'll always take help getting things packaged, but I just don't see the person as the liaison unless we
Councilmember
find that rock star.
Yoshimoto, do
Thanks.
you have any comments you'd like to make, since you would be the point person on the council?
Thank you, Chair Willie. I think it's a very good discussion. I think everyone's brought up, really good points. I kind of like your comments, Ms. Willie. We are, at the beginning stages of this term, and we do need to get our feet wet. And my preference has always been to try and work within with what we have. And we haven't filled that last position. That's true, for fiscal reasons and other reasons as well. And I'm just interested in hearing council members' perspectives. I think it's important. But again, the focus isn't here to hire someone. The focus here is to talk about this presentation. So Ms. Ford is correct in that as well. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? And Ms. Ford?
If we want to make the fiscal year for the federal government, which starts in October, or fiscal year 2014, we need to get our packages in by the end of February of this year, this coming year, 2013. So I wish you all well.
Can I entertain a motion, or would you like to make a motion, Ms. Ford?
The original motion was to file communication 12 and all related communications. So all we need to do, if the discussion is over, is take the vote.
And is there a second? Do I need a second to that? No.
The second in the beginning.
Okay. So can we take a voice vote? All in favor? Okay. All opposed? Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. And that was a first by Ms. Ford and a second by Councilmember Onishi. And then call for the vote. All voice vote? All in favor? None opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Smack my gavel.
Good to talk to you, Colonel Hall. See you in January.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye-bye.